how's everybody doing? Welcome back to Asshat Podcast on YouTube now. What we got here is, this is two great comedies from, excuse me, I'm trying to see a year on here. I do not see a year. 93 and 95. Now, growing up, I'll put them out here so you know what I'm talking about. Grumpy Old Men and Grumpy Old Men. I knew who Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau was because my parents had shown me some of their films. I'd seen like The Odd Couple, stuff like that. And when the first one came out, I was not interested in seeing it out loud. We'll rent it. We rented it and loved it so much we had to go see the second one. And there's a third film. It's basically them playing these same two characters. It's like Out to Sea. Real simple. We're going to start with the first one here. We got Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. They're neighbors. They don't really get along that great. What is his name? Shit. Kevin Pollak is Walter Matthau's son. Daryl Hannah is Jack Lemmon's daughter. She's going through a rough marriage, and both these guys are, widowed. And Anne Margaret's a new woman that moves into the neighborhood, and they're both kind of fighting over her affection. And you got some great stuff in there. Like they live in, I want to say it's Minnesota. They go ice fishing. I remember that. Burgess Meredith is the father of one of these guys. And there's so many great ice fishing scenes. Just great comedy. Cracks me up. And the only thing I don't like about these is they're in these really shitty, I hate these cases. These crappy Warner Brothers cases. But this came out and it ended up with, next door neighbors John Gustafson and Max Goldman are grumpy old men, and since they're played by Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, they're also funny old men. The stars of the film The Odd Couple pair up again in this hilarious and heartwarming story of neighborhood curmudgeons whose long-running feud becomes an all-out rivalry when an attractive widow Anne Margaret moves into the house across the street. Snowy Minnesota provides the setting as Max and John unleash an uproarious blizzard of practical jokes and zingers. Burgess Meredith, Daryl Hannah, Ozzie Davis, Kevin Pollak, and Buck Henry add star-packed support to snow-packed shenanigans that will cure your blahs and jump-start your heart. No real extras on this. What was this rated? That's odd. Oh, PG-13. That's some language. And like this scene right here where Matthau's going to kill him with a frozen fish. Just great stuff. Well, after that was 93. 2 years later, we get Grumpier Old Men. And in this one, Sophia Loren moves into the neighborhood and let's read back. Better, funnier, even grumpier than the original. The more things change, the more hilariously stay the same. In Wabasha, Minnesota, the uncatchable fish and catfish hunter grows fatter. The wisecrack zingers and put-downs pile up like freshly raked leaves, and grumpy old men becomes grumpier in this delightful sequel. Grabbing fishing rods and picking up where they left off, Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau reel in another winner as grumpier old men. Anne Margaret, Daryl Hannah, Kevin Pollak, and Burgess Meredith, who return to reprise their roles, and Sophia Loren is a newcomer who's planned to turn the town's beloved bait shop to a restaurante, sends the guys in a tizzy. That is, the bait shop, which, if I remember right, Ozzie Davis runs it. He ends up selling, and they're trying to stop her from doing that, and she ends up being, I don't think she marries Matthau, but she ends up with him. These are just great comedies, and they're both, PG-13. I think it's because of language. Let me see that right in small. Salty language and innuendo, and this one is PG-13 for some sexual references. This shit is hilarious. Now, I know there's a later release, which I actually had. It's a flipper disc in a better case. One film on one side, one on there. It's one of those I picked up cheap at a pawn. Well, it was scratched to hell and back on the first film. The second film had a couple little jumps in it too. So I'm like, okay. I got to replace it. And I got lucky. Some friends of my parents, the husband they've known since third grade, and they've known his wife since the two got together. They were getting rid of a lot of their DVDs. They just don't watch them. They know, I sell DVDs on the side, books on the side, make a little extra cash. So they send you sell whatever you want, keep whatever you want. I found these in there. Oh yeah, that's going in the keep pile. And actually, before I could 100% say I was going to keep them, my father took claim to them. This is, just two of the films he loves because, he remembers The Odd Couple. He remembers, Anne Margaret back when she was, the young hot actress of the time, when she was guest starring on the film, so Sophia Loren. And really well done film. Like I said, the third one, I want to say it's the third film in this era they teamed up. I want to say it's called Out to Sea. And it's those two going on a cruise, and they're after Diane Cannon. But I don't always just watch horror and sci-fi and stuff like that. Some I watch comedies like this that you can pretty much show to everybody. You can show this to little kids. The sex jokes in there are going to go over the kids' heads, and they're just going to like watching two old guys bicker. And the stuff they do to each other, like Jack Lemmon throws a fish because Walter Matthau's got this old like Bronco style vehicle, like an old what would now be called an SUV. It's got shit all in it. He throws a fish in, that fish starts rotting. He starts smelling it. There's they play prank like one of them, and I want to say it's Lemon has a universal remote. He goes and fucks with Matthau's TV doing it, which I've done that before. Back in the day, I can remember finding it was a universal remote that was like I don't have anything that size. I'm looking around my kitchen, like the size about that big, like the size of like the your car alarm thing on your keychain, about that size. And what it is you just aimed it at the TV and held down this one button, and it would cycle through the codes that found one that worked. And the only thing it had on there, it had a power button, it had a up channel, and a up down volume. I got this thing for like $40. It was not cheap. It would go fuck with buddies of mine. Sit at the house and just having. They wouldn't even know when I'm not at the TV. They don't realize it. Now so I start fucking with the TV. Oh man, the TV's fucked up. He does that. Just a great little two great little comedies that I know Matthau's died. I don't know if Jack Lemmon's still alive or not. And Margaret, I'm pretty sure is alive. Sophia Loren, I'm pretty sure is still around. Just really funny. And this is one of those that I got a feeling. And it's been a long time, 93 and 95. It's been, over 20 years since these came out, coming up on 30. I got a feeling that we're going to see remakes of these eventually. Because, Hollywood, and it ain't just a new thing. They've been doing remakes for decades, but just great. If you want, some funny films to watch with, like, your kids or your parents or, your loved ones, whatever, that, you ain't got to worry about somebody getting offended because, somebody says fuck you in or something like that. Check these out. And they're fairly cheap. The set that's, one on each side. I used to see that all the time in the $5 bin at Walmart and find it like, Dollar General for a couple of bucks. And I'm going to end up eventually getting a copy of that and getting rid of these because, I'll get a copy of that for me. Like I said, my father took claim on these. Because and this is one of those where at least once I've had these for about 2 years now. At least 2 or 3 times a year, he wants to watch both. Let's put them on. Look at the blue, right? And people wonder why I say hook up the Blu-ray every once in a while. TV in the living room. When we bought it, we wanted one that had, the new TV on the flat screen. But the thing is, the way their TV stand is made, most TVs now, the legs are on the outer sides, the left and right side. The way their TV stand is made to get a bigger TV, it had to have the stand in the middle. So we had to get one of those like that. Well, the one we got only has 2 HDMI ports. We have Dish Network, so one of the ports is used for that. The other port is used, they have a Roku streaming stick. I picked it up for them, been 2 years now, for the anniversary present, because before then, I was letting them borrow my Roku when I wasn't here, wouldn't use it, or Dad, because you could do Netflix through the Dish Network box. He'd do it that way. I was like, there's more stuff you can do. Let me get you a Roku. Well, we did that, and they weren't really using their Blu-ray player. Well, then, we go to hook up their Blu-ray player one day. They want to watch this. I unplugged the Roku. And I was going to get a switcher box. That's just one more remote I have to teach them. And they're both in their mid to late 70s. It's hard to teach them about tech nowadays. So I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. We hooked the Blu-ray player. It wasn't working. We hadn't used it in over a year. It just died. It was about 5 years old. All right, let's get another one. I was like, you know what? Y'all don't really watch Blu-rays that often. The only reason I got them a Blu-ray is because at the time I was using BitTorrent to download a lot of shit, put it on flash drives, plug in the Blu-ray, watch it that way. And that's how they watched a lot of shows. Like Glow and stuff like that, Well, I was like, y'all don't really do it that much. You got Netflix now. Let's just get I was like, well, I'll get a DVD player that hooks up with AVs. There's an AV port in the back of this TV. Well, here's the thing. This TV, when you hook up shit to the AV port, the volume is really low. My father is half deaf. He worked around heavy machinery most of his life, never wore earplugs, so his hearing is really bad. So you'd have to turn, most DVDs, you'd have to turn the volume as high as the TV goes and still have trouble hearing. The only thing I remember having, they watched all of, and it took them about a week, I bought the box set of all the Quantum Leap. That was one of the few things I know that the volume was decent on it. So I was just tired of them. They couldn't watch this, they couldn't watch this. So went out and got another DVD player, a Blu-ray player. Put the DVD up in my mother's room. The Blu-ray hooks up with HDMI, so that's why I say hook the Blu-ray up. I got to unplug the Roku, which it's a Roku streaming stick. They do overheat. So it comes in handy usually about once a week. I'm like, hey, let's watch a DVD or a Blu-ray. Give the Roku a chance to cool off, unplug it from the power. Yeah. And that's what I mean by hooking the Blu-ray up. And my father actually now, he can do it himself. I taught him how to. The first time we did it, unhooked, I was like, okay, come back here. I showed him the ports. Like, when this is over, unhook, pull this plug out, the HDMI card, and just lay it there. The Blu-ray just stays sitting in front of the TV. It's always plugged into the power strip. Plug the Roku streaming stick in, plug this little thing in the top, you got the Roku. Well, he forgot, got up there, unplugged the satellite and the Blu-ray, and plugged the Roku into where the satellite normally goes, and wondered why the satellite wasn't working. And I was out on the pier doing something, called me, come help. I fixed it. But, yeah, that's it. Oh, man. You know what? If Mathau went down south, I'd love to see another one of these, you know. And it amazes me, you know, and I'm sure both of them had a little bit of work, but how still beautiful Anne Margaret and Sophia Loren were at the time of the filming, just because they had to be in their 60s, you know, maybe in their early 70s, you know, and just a fun movie. And honestly, Walter Matthau in this movie reminds me of my mother's father, my maternal grandfather. Grumpy old guy that, you know, got a heart of gold, but he's grumpy as hell. Reminds me of him so much. And Jack Lemmon reminds me a little bit of my paternal grandfather who, you know, died when I was fairly young. I don't remember him that well. But I'm out, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. Remember, if you did, give me that thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, all the other bullshit. Talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.